Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're talking about The Penguin, the show that just wrapped up its first season on Max, and what a season that was. This show had me hooked from the jump, so let's go ahead and talk about season 1 in this spoiler-free review. First up, let's talk about the cast, because Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot, my god, that was some next level stuff. He's ruthless, he's brutal, and somehow still charming. Like, he can say or do the most horrible thing you can imagine, make a joke, and somehow it still works. Then there's Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone. I'm sorry, Sophia Gigante. She's always one step ahead of Oz, playing this perfect game of cat and mouse throughout the entire show. And don't you dare sleep on Renzi Feliz as Victor Aguilar. He has this really tragic backstory that hits so hard when you see what happens to him, and the cool thing about it is that he is the heart of the show. He's the one that stays the most grounded and has the most humanity throughout the entire thing. What I love about the show is it takes time to build up the three main leads. We have Oz, Sophia, and Victor. Each of them get their own standalone episode, shows them what they did in the past, how they got to where they are, and it just really works to build that character and make us care about each and every one of them, even though they are bad people. Except for Victor. Victor's great. Now, what I really appreciate about the show is it gave the three main leads, Sophia, Oz, and Victor, their time to shine. Each of them got their own episode to show what they did in the past and how they got to where they are now. The show builds sympathy for them without ever letting you forget how bad they are. Now let's talk about Gotham itself. The show doesn't just skim the surface level stuff, we are in the streets this time. We're no longer in the usual territory of, the GCPD or over at Wayne Enterprises. We are on the streets, seeing the gangs that occupy Gotham and how everything works in the underground, criminal world. It's like for the first time we get to see the actual Gotham. The show just immerses you in the world, and it's all the more terrifying and fascinating because of it. You really get to feel the city's corruption, which is the perfect backdrop for Oz's rise to power. Another thing I didn't expect from the show is just how funny it was. Oz is out there doing some terribly despicable stuff, but every now and again he'll say something or do something in a certain way, and it just ends up being hilarious. It's never over the top or out of place, it's just Oz being Oz. He's quick on his feet, he's always thinking, and he's always scheming, and the humor just flows so naturally through that character. Now, one of the biggest strengths of the show is how it actually handles tension. That back and forth between Oz and Sophia, it's priceless. It seemed like every episode I was second guessing myself of who was gonna win. Was it gonna be Oz or Sophia? And you just never know because it's always flipping and flopping. Sophia's got this calm, calculated vibe, while Oz has this brute force and street smarts. And it just makes for an intense dynamic where every interaction that you see in the show feels like a chess match. Speaking of tension, the cinematography here is just as dark and moody as the Batman. Every single shot feels like it's carefully crafted to just pull you into Gotham. It's dark, it's drab, and it's perfect. And you know what? I'm actually happy that Batman never showed up or was even mentioned in the show. Because if he was mentioned, it would have taken away everything from the characters that they introduced and the story that they had going on. For example, if at any point during the show someone even mentions Batman, the audience is going to be like, oh, they said it, he's here, he's coming, and every episode that goes on, someone's going to be looking for Batman, and that's going to take away from the story that they were trying to tell. So, good move not mentioning Batman. Okay, so the show's great, but I do have to mention one bad thing about it, and it's a big one, let me tell you. The CGI in the first episode. I'm mostly talking about the driving scenes. The green screen in the back looked terrible in that first episode, but it definitely got better as the show went on. And to be honest, I'm just being nitpicky here. The show is so polished, I had to find something to complain about, right? Okay, now let's circle back to Oz. He's brutal, he's ruthless, and he has zero morals. And I love that the show doesn't shy away from that. There are no redemption arcs here. Up until the very last scene, you're reminded of just how evil he is. And it's really refreshing to see that because so many shows or movies make the villains heroes by giving them some heroic, redemption thing at the end. Look at Venom, Suicide Squad, or even Black Adam. The movies are about villains. They can have evil motivations, that's completely fine, but if it's done right, you can root for them without making them heroic. But the Penguin, no, he is bad all the time and I am here for it. Oz is a monster and the show completely commits to it. So now that season 1 of The Penguin's over, let's talk about what that means going into the Batman Part 2. We don't have a lot of concrete information, but we do know a few things. For one, we know it takes place immediately after The Penguin, leading up until Christmas and New Year's. We also know it's going to be another murder mystery just like the first one. So because it's another murder mystery, I'm thinking we're going to get some villains like Professor Pig, Hush, or even the Court of Owls. I'm actually thinking that the Court of Owls is going to be the big overarching villain of the entire trilogy. And did you happen to see that Easter egg in the last episode of The Penguin? When Oz goes into the courtroom, you see the curtains draped like a shape of an owl. Court of Owls. Now, could this just be a fun little thing they threw at us and it means nothing at all? Of course. But could it also mean the future of what we're going to see and it means everything? Of course. Also, the way that the Penguin explored Arkham Asylum and the city's drug trade, it's laying the groundwork for something big. Like maybe we get a drug-based villain like Scarecrow. But at the end of the day, I cannot recommend the Penguin enough. It's got everything, a great story, it's got killer performances, and solid pacing. And it's got some of the best world building I've seen in a long time. And it doesn't feel like just another comic book show, it feels like just a great show, period. It's got me more excited than ever for what's coming next in the Batman universe. And if this is the new standard for the DC HBO shows going forward, Peacemaker and Lanterns better bring it because the bar has been set very high. And that is it for today, everybody. If you enjoyed The Penguin as much as I did, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you have any theories of what the Batman Part 2 is gonna do, make sure you drop them down there too. And if you liked the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more DC content just like this. Until the next video, everybody, see you later.